Guys, welcome back. We're here in Demuslim versus Oz Game 2. I'm here with Total Biscuit from England, cheering on his fellow compatriot Demuslim, but Demuslims had a little bit of trouble in that first game.
We're both expats. We both fled the UK. We're now unofficially US residents. So, yeah, well, I'm officially a US resident. I'm sure Ben is as well. But yeah, we now belong to the United States in some way. But Demuslim, I think, was taking the American route a little bit too seriously there by being super greedy, and Oz decided just to kill him, which is unfortunate. So we'll see whether or not Demuslim is able to come back in this game. I can't imagine he's going to go 3cc again, especially not on Akalon Wastes.
Yeah, Akalon Wastes is definitely a map. It's a little bit hard to open that super greedy early on. Of course, in the mid game, it's easier to get the 4 bases up, but that comes a little bit later down the road.
Yeah, it's a risky thing to do, isn't it? On something like Daybreak, where you've got that space and you've got the time, then you think, all right, you know, I can think about doing this. And unfortunately, Oz had the read on him and just shut him down completely. So, without further ado, let's see if the man from England can deal with his Korean opponent. He is EG's Demuslim. He is in the blue trunks. He is playing Terran to the southeast of this particular map, Akalon Wastes, versus his opponent, teammate, compadre, and at this point, mortal enemy in the red trunks playing Protoss to the northwest. It is Evil Genius's Oz.
You know, one thing that's a little tricky in the bracket, I do believe the winner of this, I think, goes up against Alive. So EG kind of stuffed.
That's mean.
It is mean. It is mean. It's just the way the brackets work sometimes, I guess. But definitely 3 of the favorites for this tournament, Oz, Alive, and Demuslim, and all 3 of them stuck in one section of the bracket. At least it is double elimination. So,
well, at the end of the day, if you stack your tournament with 287 EG players, then they're bound to run into each other at some point, right? So it's mostly just EG's fault for having too many players.
Yeah, they should only enter one of their players in each tournament, right? And then they would never have a team kill problem. You know, we should tell Garfield that.
Yeah, I'm sure Alex Garfield would be really receptive to my advice in that regard. You know that I've always thought of team kills this way. A lot of people say team kills are really negative for a team, right? I think team kills are awesome because it's a guaranteed next round position for at least one of the guys on your team. That's the way I've always looked at them. And I know that's the way our guys look at them as well.
So
and that's actually kind of cool.
It is. You know, it kind of goes both ways, right? One's guaranteed to lose, but one of them's going to win too. You can't have 2 losers.
Yeah.
So the Muslims here is doing a little initial scout, wanting to see if his opponent again is going to go for that gasless expansion. But you know, Oz saying this is a map where Reaper opening is very common. In fact, the Muslim is actually going ahead and getting that Reaper. So
straight up, yeah.
Oz would have been in for a world of pain if he tried that same build again.
Yeah, that would certainly not have worked out. Interestingly enough, Graham, that double gas at this time, the problem with Protoss is you can't really read too much into that double gas opening because it can turn in, once the cyber core's down, it can turn into literally anything. So we'll see what he decides to go with here. And Demuslim's Reaper will eventually make its way over there. Is it going to do much damage? Probably not. Depends if Oz manages to send his Stalker halfway across the map. And even with that, there's a Mothership core out. It's not going to do an awful lot.
Oh, that's if he is spotted. That's going to be taken out, of course. The Muslim was so nice. Yeah, if that could have gone a secondary scout about a minute later than now. I mean, it's still getting a secondary scout, but it's a little bit earlier than it would have wanted to check in there. Of course, it had to go for that run because it was spotted. On the other hand, the Reaper is actually doing some good damage to the Zealot. I think the Zealot is going to die. The Stalker, the Stalker won't get there in time to help him out. Although the Reaper takes a couple slices to the belly.
Yeah, needs to be careful there, but that's nothing the combat drugs won't actually fix up for him. And we're seeing what a lot of Terran are doing right now, which seems to work really, really well when you want to expand, which is immediately after that Reaper, you throw down your reactor, because that Reaper gives you the map control, where that 50 seconds is nowhere near as dangerous as it would have been otherwise. That Stalker's going to make its way in here, though, and since Demuslim doesn't actually have anything to stop it right now, he's going to once again be delayed on his bunker here.
He is. These 2 Marines are going to try to push that Stalker back, but one of them's almost dead. The Mothership core is now flying in as well. The Reaper is hurrying back to lend its guns to the situation, but there's more and more Protoss units coming forward. Oz, is he going to do a lot of critical damage again early in the set?
I'm not entirely convinced by the use of the Time Warp there, honestly, just to try and slow that Reaper down. To be fair, though, it was a calculated move, and it almost worked. And Oz is just going to keep pressuring this area. He doesn't have a bunch of gateways to back this up this time around. This is actually just pressure into an expand here, but Ben's going to be a little bit concerned about what's going on.
He is. You know, I think he was really hoping to get that bunker up. Perhaps he should have never sent any of those Marines to the low ground in the first place. Tried to build up a little more of a force up here in the high ground, but he is going to force Oz back as his production really starts to kick in.
That's very true. He's got the Hellion out now. That Reaper is still alive, being an absolute hero in this particular game already. Marines pushing out here as well, so the bunker's going to come in, and then he's going to be able to follow this up. Starport is coming down, Widow Mine coming in as well. Now, I have to wonder if what Demuslim decides to do here is immediately decide to do some kind of drop play, and the rationale I've got for that is that he did lose mining time there. He did lose SCVs. Not too many, but some. And more importantly, Oz was able to expand behind that, so Oz has that economic lead now.
This opening often turns into a Widow Mine drop play. At least this is a very, very popular opening early on in Heart of the Storm, and it still is used by a lot of players, including, I would imagine that's what Demuslim is going for here in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he'll deploy one defensively. Maybe he then builds another one and goes for a drop with two. It depends. He doesn't actually have a reactor down on this yet. I assume because he's worried about some kind of follow-up, and hence he doesn't have anything there. But he's actually putting a tech lab down on that factory.
He is. I think that'll be moved to barracks later. I don't.
You think so? Yeah, because that would be a little bit weird.
It would be. Some players have been messing around a little bit more with tanks incorporated early game because you don't have to research that siege one anymore. But Demuslim is not a player who really likes siege tanks. Even against Zerg, he tends to avoid them as much as possible.
Yeah, and against Protoss, absolutely not. That would be a very odd move for him, and especially since he's building double engineering bay. There's no armory. There's no way in a million years that's being used for anything else there. He will swap that around, and there is that drop, and it is the 4 Marine 2 Widow Mine drop. This is ridiculously damaging, although also hilarious if you kill your own Marines with the Widow Mines, which I have seen happen before.
Let's see if Demuslim accomplishes that. There's 2 sentries in a Stalker to defend. The sentry is probably not the ideal unit, but anything that shoots up does help out in this defense. Where is that mothership core? Oh, one Widow Mine gets down.
Nearby. Oh, there goes one. That was a great shot, actually. Second one comes in, and I thought maybe with the position, Demuslim wouldn't be able to get a good shot off there. Evidently, I was completely wrong. Demuslim gets out of there, and that was beautifully played. Great start for him, and now he's going to make his way to the natural. That's where the mothership core is. Let's see that photon overcharge. In it goes, and I think Demuslim's just going to say, you know what? I'm going to kill probes here. That DPS is not good enough to kill my Marines quickly enough.
It really wasn't. Got another 2 probes there as well, even saving one of the Widow Mines before the Observer and Stalker finish him off. He's only lost 1 Marine and Widow Mine, and I think he's got maybe 8 probes with that. Actually, 11.
11.
Holy moly.
Well, if you need anything to catch up, then that's what I would call a catch-up. He is well back in this game, no problem at all.
And that medevac is still a threat. Oz, of course, is keeping tabs on it, but he has to, you know, the photon overcharge will defend a natural, but then when that wears off, it's vulnerable. The main, he left his main open, and the Muslim just goes right back in.
When Mine's coming back in, Oz thankfully pulls in the right direction that time around, so that's probably going to trigger one just... Oh, it takes down 2 probes there, so that's totally worth it as well. Oz was also supply blocked during all of that for a good 10 to 15 seconds, so that does make a difference, certainly. It wouldn't have... It's such a shame that that went down there for Demuslim, but even then, you know, he's done a good amount of damage. He's ahead economically, so he can be happy with that drop.
They definitely went down here. As we see, Demuslim actually has a 10-worker advantage, and he's got the mules. And a 3rd CC is finishing up. Even in upgrades, he's neck and neck in upgrades, which normally that's where Protoss tries to surge ahead.
The Reaper's back. It's annoying the mineral line quite nicely here at the natural. It actually forced half of it to pull off there. Didn't kill anything, but Demuslim's Reaper is being an absolute hero in this game. Oz is going for the double upgrades, heavy forge approach with Colossus, and Demuslim doesn't have what he needs to deal with that yet, but he has the building set up to be able to switch into Vikings, and he's also building a Marauder-heavy composition here, which I really like. That's great against Colossi, especially if it's Colossi Stalker-heavy with very few Zealots, which is exactly what he's up against here.
Yeah, definitely a really good transition coming in from Demuslim. The armory was timed perfectly with 1-1. He's going to hit that 2-2 upgrades just right. As long as he continues his upgrades and identifies Colossi, I think he's in commanding position so far. But, you know, we've seen Oz pull off miracles with just a few units in game number 1, and even in the opening of this game. So when he had the whole army, I'm definitely scared to see how he controls it.
Oh, Demuslim almost made that Widowmine work, but on the way over, it got spotted by the Observer and was then picked off. So looks like a third base might go down here, but Demuslim has actually taken this opportunity to go in. He's finished his 1-1. His opponent has as well. Little stim forward here with the Vanguard of it. That's now been spotted. He is still up against Colossi here, and he doesn't have any Vikings. So if he wants to engage, he's going to have to do it very well. But he is going to get the cancellation on the third base. But is he going to be able to get out? Well, actually, yes, he's got medevacs. Of course he's getting out.
There is Blink, but there's only a few Stalkers. It's getting a few shots off. What I really liked is he picked off that probe as well as a Nexus, meaning it's going to take Oz a little bit longer to get a secondary probe down there to rebuild it.
Yeah. It's a double win there for him. Nice little bonus round. And Demuslim is now going to back off into a defensive position. He's already got his third down and mining, so he is in exactly the spot he wants to be. Demuslim is on fire when he reaches 3 bases. Yeah, that's when his EX meter fills up and he's able to throw supers left and right. If before that, he can be pretty vulnerable, but right now he's in such a great position.
He definitely is. One thing I really like, I noticed he did this also against Giant Smurf. He adds a second factory as he gets up to 3 bases. This allows for increased Hellbat production.
Yes.
Hellbats are, they've been something I was wondering why Terrans weren't using them in Heart of the Storm, and over the last week or so, I've seen a much more increased Hellbat usage in TVP.
Ooh, here we go, battle is on, and force fields are well placed here, I've got to say, by Oz, and a lot of this firepower at the back of the Demuslim is not able to contribute to the fight, but there might just be too much regardless.
Great force fields there, but like you said, Demuslim, too many units from him, too many medevacs healing. There wasn't enough DPS to back up those Colossi, and now Demuslim swarmed in. There's no force fields. The Colossi are being focused down.
Oh, this is what happens with a Marauder heavy composition like this. Everything gets wrecked. GG. If you don't have any force fields in that position, your Colossi are on borrowed time.
Yes, they are, of course. Using them all out in the fight in the middle, and unfortunately, he had to retreat from that fight, so the force fields kind of went to waste there, and then when you really needed him to defend his third base, didn't really have any left.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the Demuslim that we have been seeing doing so well recently. In that position when no one throws a wrench or a spanner, as Demuslim would say, in the works, then he just goes. And once he starts rolling, he just does not stop. Great control, and more to the point, the timings that he executed there. Striking the third base, canceling it, killing the probe, delaying it again, striking it again. And he did all of that without Vikings. That's the craziest thing. You think in that position, oh, there's a single Colossus on the field, better build 12 Vikings. That delays your push by several minutes. It also means you don't have a lot of medevacs. He doesn't need that if his timings are good enough and his execution is good enough and he takes engagements in the right places. And that's exactly what he did.
He did. His macro transitions were great as well, not missing a beat on the armory, which is something that a lot of Terrans make a mistake of. And then as soon as that got up, adding the Hellbats into his composition to really supplement the tankiness for it, as well as the anti-zealot DPS.
Yes.
But the Muslim's going to take game number 2, tying up 1-1. We'll take a short break and be right back with game number 3.